I've talked to some of the people who I believe were lead perpetrators, and it's just obvious from them and the people around them. They're purely local people. Their pasts are known, their records are known, when they were in prison, who they hung out with in prison, who their associations are. There's just no chance that this was an Al-Qaeda attack if, by Al-Qaeda, you mean the organization founded by Osama bin Laden.
Welcome back to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. The New York Times says there's no chance the 9/11 terror attack was committed by Al-Qaeda. Some House Intelligence Committee members are disputing that account. Who's right? I've got Tom Joscelyn from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies to weigh in. Tom, what are your sources telling you? Did the New York Times get this story right?
No, I think they got it very wrong. In fact, there's a lot of evidence showing that the Al-Qaeda network was involved in the attack. There's evidence that's been reported by the New York Times showing that Al-Qaeda was involved in the attack. There's been some great reporting in the Wall Street Journal about this, about some of the individuals involved, and frankly, all of that evidence was basically ignored in Kirkpatrick's piece. Well,
Kirkpatrick, though, makes a distinction between Al-Qaeda Central, if you will, and other groups. Is that a good distinction to make?
No, it's a common distinction. It's phony. Basically, Al-Qaeda has always been this international network. It was an international network prior to 9/11. It's an international network now, and it probably always will be until it's finally rolled up. But the idea that somehow that Al-Qaeda is just this core group in South Asia that we need to kill with drones and everything else is unaffiliated with Al-Qaeda is just simply false.
Tom, do we know who masterminded this attack on Benghazi?
No, and in fact, the New York Times can't tell you who masterminded the attack either. That's the thing. In a 7,000+ word piece, only one suspect is named in the whole thing. So there's a lot of details we still don't know about the actual attack.
You had a blog post up at the Weekly Standard that mentioned someone who wasn't named here, Mohammed Jamal. Why is he important, and how does he figure in here?
Well, as the Journal first reported, Jamal is an Egyptian who's been loyal to Al-Qaeda since the 1980s, late 1980s. And in fact, he trained some of the attackers that took part in the Benghazi attack. This completely undermines the thesis put forth by David Kirkpatrick in the New York Times, because you have Egyptians, not locals, who are affiliated with Al-Qaeda, who come in and help execute this attack in Benghazi. This is completely the opposite of what Kirkpatrick is saying.
Yeah, Kirkpatrick just sort of implies that it's locals who are coming in, who were also, by the way, inflamed by a video made here in the United States. What are your sources telling you about that video and the role that that might have played in inflaming tensions and generating this
attack? Well, I think
they're
missing some big points about the video, which is that the video was used by known Al-Qaeda actors to inflame public sentiment. In fact, in Egypt, in Cairo, earlier in the day before the Benghazi attack, Mohammed al-Zawahiri, this is the brother of Al-Qaeda Emir Ayman al-Zawahiri, used the video as a pretext to launch this protest against the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. Other known Al-Qaeda actors did that in Cairo and elsewhere. So the idea that it's just the video in isolation was sort of the motivation behind this is really just a pretext.
Do you think that this Times article is backfiring a little bit, because it's actually drawing attention again back to Benghazi, back to the fact that we haven't caught the people responsible for killing those 4 Americans?
Yeah, I thought this was going to quiet down as an issue, and yet here we are talking about it once again. So I think it has backfired. And the bottom line from my perspective is the U.S. government has a list of suspects who they think were involved. I think we should see more of that evidence about who they think was involved. I think we should see the names of the people who were in the sealed indictments that have been the U.S. government is going after. And we should see this Benghazi attack network that's been compiled by U.S. law enforcement officials to understand sort of who was really involved in this.
So declassify some of it. Give us some more information. Couldn't agree more.
Right.
Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Tom Joscelyn. Thanks so much for joining us.